sniffing?
I just caught that on the end as well, at the beginning. I haven't, I feel like,
Yeah.
it's a weird morning.
Yeah.
It's a weird morning, but we're all here. So, guys, episode 5. Hello, Charlie.
Hello.
Hello, Ollie.
Good morning, guys.
Sit.
Good morning, guys.
There we go.
There we go. That's better.
They love the sound of your soulful voice. He's just nodding. Right. So we're doing something a bit different again today. So episode 1 and 2. Episode 1 was a single film. Episode 2 we did a director special. Last week's episode, Shawshank, was another film, and now we're doing something different again. We're doing an actor special, so we're going to be looking at an actor and the films they've done and going through their performances, any awards they've been nominated for, all that kind of stuff. And the first actor we have decided to go for is Florence Pugh, which I think we can all agree is quite a strong one to begin with. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So should we just get onto it?
Let's do it.
Right. So, we're going to be looking at the career of actor Florence Pugh, from wrestling ring to the deserts of Arrakis. We will be delving through her filmography, discussing why she is no longer considered a little woman, but one of the biggest rising stars today. Oh, it feels like a while since I've done one of those kind of introductions, actually. Right. So, just a couple of things about her. She was born January 3rd, 1996. Florence Pugh's first role came in 2014, where she starred in The Fallen. From there, she has amassed 29 acting credits and has 4 more acting projects in development. As a performer, she has even developed into singing and songwriting, writing and performing 2 songs in the film A Good Person. Now, we should state again, this is another re-record, lads, isn't it? Because, this is also, hopefully you can hear a difference. We're also using some new equipment. This is the first podcast with new equipment on, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So hopefully with this new equipment we can do this episode again, do it justice, and it's going to sound great, hopefully. So it's the last time we did this, I read some random trivia from IMDb. So as we all know, like, Florence Pugh has a very kind of distinct voice for a woman actor. So as a child she suffered from, I think I'm pronouncing this right, trichomalacia. Is that how you pronounce it? I believe that's how you pronounce it. Either way, so basically it resulted in her getting a tube in her trachea to help her breathe properly, which made her gain her raspy voice. Again, how true this is, because anyone can add trivia in. Another one, her last name is pronounced Pugh, which we all know. It's a random somebody's put in. She's naturally a brunette and she likes tzatziki. Really random stuff. I mean, she did like a food podcast at one point, or a food show, didn't she? In lockdown?
Yeah, on like Instagram Live and stuff.
Yeah. So it must be true. Right. So let's just ask quickly. Why did we choose Florence Pugh? Do you think? Why do you think we went with her first? I think it's because the reason we've gone for her first is because of how her acting range and how much she's done in such a short period of time. For me, she's definitely got, like, you know, she definitely has the range to do it. I mean, some of the films she's been in, Midsummer, and then, the first film I saw her in was Fighting With My Family. I don't know if either of you have seen that at all, Fighting With My Family?
No, I haven't. I also don't know anything about the WWE, unfortunately.
Really?
Yeah, no, I know, like, I could name you maybe 10 wrestlers from over the years if I saw a picture of them. But that's the extent of my WWE knowledge. I mean, now it's all on Netflix, isn't it? So I can educate myself. But as for answering the question, Dan and Charlie had this episode in their shortlist before they asked me to come onto this podcast. So I really don't know why I'll be honest with you. I like her films, but I'm not a huge mega fan. So I really am not qualified to answer this question. I'm genuinely really curious. I was going to ask you guys why we weren't recording, like, why of every single actor working on or retired, why Florence Pugh was the first actor special.
I think when we first came up with this episode, a lot of it was so when we were looking at it and we were looking kind of like at the Oscar run and stuff like I think I thought, I don't know about you two, I thought that she might have possibly got nominated for the latest film she's got out, We Live in Time. That's what I thought that film, especially because it was A24, you know, it was released like pretty much smack bang in terms of the criteria for all of like BAFTA and Oscar, and it did a kind of film festival circuits. So I think we saw that, she's doing this particular role, which is quite heavy because you've both seen the film, right?
Yep.
Yep. So I thought that she was, I thought like, this is probably going to be another, because she's been nominated already. And I think for me, when I was thinking back about her, what she's done so far, she's already been, not a massive career already. It's quite a short-lived career at the moment. But she's been in massive films, worked with massive directors, has been nominated for an Oscar and a BAFTA already, and a Rising Star Award for BAFTA. So for how long she's been kind of, I would say, in the limelight of acting, she's already garnered quite a lot in terms of acting credits, who she's worked with, what films she's worked on, and also being nominated. So that was my thinking behind doing this episode.
What about you, Charlie?
Yeah, I think Dan pretty much covered everything. But on my thing, it was that she's had sort of no really, really small roles except for The Fallen.
Her first one.
The first one. And thinking back, we didn't really think of any others. So I know that you coming in, it makes sort of no sense that we chose. We didn't have another person in mind either. It was quite a.
But the more we do,
it was more sort of awards based. I think we were trying to think of what episodes that we could fill.
What would be current
in between? But yeah.
Are you guys fans of her?
I am. I'd probably say more that there was probably say more of the earlier stuff she's done. I've seen more of her earlier stuff than I have more recent stuff. Like the Dune Part 2 wasn't a massive role that she had in it, was it? She's got a bigger role in the upcoming one.
Yeah. Yeah, and I really like some of the films. I think some get kind of lost on me, but I think that her future could be quite good.
What about you, based off of what we've said? In terms of what you think of her as just as a kind of actor, and
I must admit, I when we did this the last time, I was struggling to sort of. It's not that I don't like her or that I think she's a bad actress, because she's great. I was just a bit like, just seemed a bit. I couldn't understand why you guys wanted to do it, but it makes sense now you've explained to me, and it is kind of a bummer that we've lined this up in our schedule. And she's not been nominated.
Yeah, that's the other bad thing about it. Yeah, because a lot of it was the whole where everything for that we like it looked like it was leading up for her to get some form of another nomination again, but obviously that isn't the case, because I don't think she's been nominated for anything, has she?
No.
So yeah, that was another thing, because obviously when we plan these episodes, they've got to kind of fall in line with certain things that are happening within the film industry. Or like award season, or Halloween, or summer, or whatever it is, you've got to kind of line up. So like it'd be silly doing like a Christmas thing whilst it's Halloween. Do you know what I mean? Like it's got to be. So I think that was another reason. Like we said, another reason behind it was because we were possibly expecting her to get some form of accolade or recognition for her role in her most recent film.
Oh well, it could have been worse. We could have lined up an episode on Carla Gascon.
That would have been short-lived. So what was the first film you saw her in, Charlie?
The Fallen, 2014. Plays her and Maisie Williams play kind of some friends in a boarding school. Some weird stuff happens. People start to faint. Florence Pugh's character ends up passing away, and all the rest of the students start sort of falling about.
So is she not like in it for that long then? Or is it more like she's then seen throughout the film?
Seen throughout the film, but not sort of, it kind of comes away from her quite quickly.
Yeah. I think, so the first film I saw him was Fighting with My Family. What about you, Ollie?
I think the first film I saw her in was Midsummer. I think that was the first thing I saw her in.
Yeah, because that whole year, actually, so 2019 was kind of another reason why I thought this would be a good one, is because in 2019 she did Fight With My Family, which was, I think, quite a well-received English comedy about, well, let me just read the, basically it's about, she's, I can't remember what the rest of his name is.
Paige.
Paige. So she becomes Paige, right? And she goes, and it's basically about her story about becoming a pro wrestler in America. Her brother wanted to be the one that became, their whole family is a wrestling background. It's quite a nice, heartwarming little English film. And then after that, she was in Midsummer, which was obviously a completely different spectrum of acting. I mean, anyone that acts in an Ari Aster film and pretty much has to be crying and be through that much traumatic experience throughout the whole film is going to be, you know, you've got to be some kind of actor to be able to portray it for what it's like. Director's cut is like 2.5 hours long, I think, for Midsummer. And then after that, she was also in Little Women, which is what she got nominated for in BAFTA, a supporting role in BAFTA and in Oscar. So that's quite a hefty year in 2019 to be doing those 3 films is quite a big year. What did you think of her in Midsummer then when you first saw it?
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. I think I watched it twice in cinemas, and then when it came out, I watched it at home, or I tried to watch it at home, and it was one of those things where I remember messaging my friend about it and being like, I've got to stop, I've got to turn it off because it's very heavy, isn't it?
It is a very heavy film, yes.
And I think watching it, as you say, it's quite long. It's very, very, the content is very distressing. I was like, I've watched it too many times in such quick succession, so I had to turn it off.
So you watched it like once and then watched it again with a friend?
I watched it twice in cinemas, and then I tried to watch it at home. It was one of those things where it had quite a quick, either we got it later in this country or we were showing it for a long stint at Odeon, or it was just one of those things where it had a very, very quick turnaround to home media. But I got the Blu-ray of it pretty quickly after seeing it for the first time in cinemas, or it came onto Sky pretty quickly. For whatever reason, I remember I was sitting in my front room and I messaged my friend and I was like, I'm watching Midsummer. And then I sent him a snap like an hour in and was like, I've got to turn it off.
What was it about? It was just the whole theme of the film and was just...
Yeah, it's not so much that I couldn't hack it or anything. It's just, it's a really, really... and not only is it heavy, but it's very serious. There's not a lot of levity in it. There's not a lot
of humour at all.
Yeah, exactly. So I can't watch it. But what about you, Charlie? What was the first film you saw her in? And oh yeah, it was The Falling, wasn't it? Out of those 3 from 2019, which one did you see first, or which one do you like the most?
I enjoyed Fighting With My Family. I was around in the Attitude Era stage of WWE, and then kind of just fell out of love. Out of the 3, I'd probably Midsummer. I think I saw it at the cinema probably a handful of times. Like you, got the Blu-ray quite early. It helps that Shannon loves it too, so it's a film that we kind of visit regularly, which sounds like I'm a psychopath.
Is Shannon gonna sacrifice you inside a giant wooden
inside a bear?
Yeah, a bear costume.
Yeah. I hope not.
But yeah, I think out of those 3 for me, it was weird. So I'm not a massive fan of like period piece drama kind of films. So Little Women wasn't really on my priority to watch particularly. But then when we decided we were doing this, I was like, do you know what, I'll watch Little Women, I'll give it a go and stuff like that. So then, I watched it and I actually enjoyed it more than I thought I would. And I think out of the 3, I'd probably say Midsummer as well, just because how much that she has to go through and how much she has to do in terms of keeping up the performance for how long the film is. But in Little Women, it was just a completely different role. It was like 2 different actors. Like, so in Little Women, she is very much, you know, a lady house, pristine dresses, all that stuff, but kind of like what you kind of expect in a period kind of piece. So she goes from that to doing, or she goes from whatever way round it was. She does those 2 different kind of acting, and also Fighting My Family, which is again completely different, like more comedic acting. So you got your comedic, you've got your serious, heavy, very heavy kind of themes in Midsummer that she has to deal with. And then she's also got the kind of like the more, you could say, classic kind of acting in Little Women, and I thought that whole year for me, like for her to be able to show those 3 was pretty impressive. But I'd probably, I'm a bit like Charlie. I'd probably say Midsummer. I could easily watch that again. But yeah, it's quite like you say, Ollie. It is very heavy subject matter. But I just like the way she's able to in Midsummer. She's able to flip between everything. So like the first time we see her, she's like pretty much bawling her eyes out, and it's that crying from. Is that she finds out that her sister's killed herself? Like it's quite like really heavy, and then she does the whole when it's not mushrooms, is it? When they're taking drugs, what is it?
I think it is.
It's mushrooms, yeah.
Yeah.
When she's like taking mushrooms, then she has to play that kind of like depressed high and all stuff like that, and she's constantly like throughout pretty much the first like hour is her just like on the verge of tears the whole time, and then just that even like the bit right at the end where they set fire to the whole like the wooden like building with her, and she's like crying, walking across crying, and then she's just smiling, and so that weird freaky smile she does, like she's just able to flip it. And I thought, well, okay, yeah, she's gonna be like you say, Charles, she's got quite a good future ahead of her. Yeah.
Charlie, you're way I don't know about Dan, but I can certainly speak for myself. You're way more well versed when it comes to the WWE. The fighting with my family, would you say that's an accurate depiction of what the wrestling industry was like? It's like 2004, 2005, isn't it? That era, or is it earlier than that?
I think it was 2004, 2005
when Paige made her sort of debut. Would you say it's an accurate?
I think that the accuracy in it from the WWE stuff, I didn't really watch any of the Tough Enough stuff, and I think they sort of brought in that sort of element where in the WWE there was kind of a show that kind of found wrestlers and stuff. From the UK point of view, when you see all the UK wrestling stuff, I think that's the more accurate part of it, in my experience. But yeah, Vince Vaughn and plays like the character in Fighting With My Family, who's the kind of trainer.
He's like the kind of producer, gets all the wrestlers.
Yeah, and I think that there's some of that could be accurate. I'm not sure, but the sort of her brother failing and getting the kind of the calls from Vince Vaughn saying he's not good enough, and then all of that stuff was quite grounded and felt definitely more real.
How did you feel like when in terms like because they're all from Norwich, right?
Yeah,
and they have that kind of accent. Did you feel like that was over the top or quite like accurate? Because I thought it could have been comedically silly, if you know what I mean. Like if they put too much of that accent on, but I thought it was played
fine.
Quite well.
Yeah, it was fun.
Have either of you two seen Little Women at all?
No.
I honestly, I would highly recommend it. It's because the cast in it's incredible as well. It's quite like Greta Gerwig's first film. But yeah, the cast is incredible. Obviously, like Laura Dern, what she got nominated, she won the supporting actress for that year, beating Florence Pugh, but she didn't even get it for Little Women. So like this Saoirse Ronan, Timothy Chalamet, like it's a stacked cast. It is a huge cast, and it is that again like someone like me who like obviously my wife loves a nice period piece, and even I was like quite surprised by it. I'd highly recommend it. And I think she even like Florence Pugh for this role actually got acclaim for it due to the fact that she made a character that is apparently not likable in the books at all a likable character.
I was going to say, I thought she was playing the most disliked character.
She was, yeah. So yeah, it kind of came about that. Yeah, this like what she'd done, the way she portrayed it, and the kind of spin on it, and the way she acted in it, made people like that character, which I think is to be able to do that, to change the perception of a character that for many years hasn't been liked at all, is quite impressive in itself. Again, I've never read the book, but I mean, if everyone's saying it, then there's probably another reason why she actually got like the nomination as well, for it. So other directors she's worked with then. Because she's worked with quite a lot of big directors already, right? So Ari Aster, you'd probably say is he the kind of lead in horror at the moment?
Robert Eggers, mate.
Oh, we're taking Robert Eggers taking it now. Because at first everyone was like, "Oh, he did Hereditary," and then he did Midsummer, and then he kind of went. Did anyone see? Is it Beau is Afraid?
Yeah,
I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it yet. Is it like compared to the other two?
Beau is Afraid is insane. I can't say just quite how without going into spoilers, and it is one of those things like it'd be great if we had the soundbite of my reaction to The Substance to play here. That is pending. We are going to make a little like a soundboard of funny moments from our previous episodes and stuff, and I sent a raw reaction voice note to these two when I came out of The Substance, because I was just stunned at what I'd seen. I have a similar sort of sentiment towards Beau is Afraid. I saw Beau is Afraid with one of my friends from a previous job, and the person I saw it with is not really into that sort of avant-garde or experimental cinema like we are. So it was a bit of I had to do some persuading to get her to come anyway. And then by the end of it, it sort of ended, and she looked at me and was like, What did you just make me watch? It's way, way, way more esoteric and out there than... Hereditary and Midsummer are pretty straightforward. I know Hereditary at the end goes a bit off the wall with the sort of occult stuff, and there's some full frontal nudity and things, but it's a fairly straightforward film for the most part. Midsummer, I would say, is the most conventional out of the three that I've seen that he's done. He's only done 3, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Mm.
It is basically a remake of The Wicker Man. Beau is Afraid is just, oh my God. There's like a sequence where there's a movie within a movie that is like a microcosm of the film itself, and then it gets to the end and it's just like it becomes this sort of like Freudian nightmare where there's like, at one point there is like a giant walking penis. No, I'm not even.
Wait,
I'm not even. It is crazy.
That caught me off guard.
The basic premise is that the main character is obviously Joaquin Phoenix as Beau. I can't remember if he has a second name or if that's just his name, which is also the name of my cat. So I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go see it in honor of Beau, my cat. I was like, I don't want to associate my cat with memories of that film, but I enjoyed it. It's good. He's this incredibly anxious sort of middle-aged guy who lives, I think it's an unnamed city, but it's like not a very nice city somewhere in like Baltimore or Chicago, somewhere quite rough. And he finds out that his mother, who lives across the country or at least in a different state, has passed away, but he doesn't drive and he can't, for love nor money, get a plane ticket. So he has to make the commute a bit like trains, planes and automobiles. He has to like ride his thumb to get back across the country to sort stuff out for his mum's funeral. But everything, it's like Murphy's Law, everything that could go wrong does go wrong. And every possible thing that you could imagine that could happen to him, like a mugging, an attack, an assault, murder, kidnapping, all this sort of stuff that you could possibly think if you were doing like a risk assessment for a trip. These start to happen. And after like 25 minutes of being like, yeah, so he's been mugged, stripped of his clothes, kidnapped, witnessed him. I was like, it got farcical and then it went above it. So I'm
right up your street.
I'm not doing a good explanation of it. You guys need to see. I'm surprised you haven't seen it.
No. I'll tell you what though. We'll get back on. I think we'll end up doing an Ari Aster kind of episode anyway, because he's only had the 3 films at the moment, so it'll be quite a nice little neat episode to do. We'll get into Beau is Afraid in a lot more detail, and we'll make sure we watch it.
I think you guys would enjoy it. Well, how did we get onto this?
So
we're talking about Ari Aster being the guy of horror. I wouldn't say Beau is Afraid is a horror film.
No, but I mean, so when she was working with him at the time in Midsummer, everyone was saying like, this is the new. Like, this is the guy that's going to be taking over horror. Obviously, now you've got Robert Eggers and also Jordan Peele and like all those guys like really into the horror. But so at that time, she was working with we'd probably say the biggest horror director or up and coming horror director at the time.
I'm going to be pedantic and say no.
No?
Because The Witch and The Lighthouse predate Midsummer.
In terms of like,
I would have said that at that time, but I'm just being really facetious.
I mean, I think I would agree with you, but I think that's our our perception of it because we love Robert Eggers. But if you look at like, you'd say the amount of money that those films made compared to his were a lot more, and I'd feel like a lot more people went to see like Hereditary or Midsummer than they did especially The Lighthouse. I'm pretty sure it did bigger numbers. But anyway, we're going off topic. We're going off topic. So she worked with Ari Aster, Midsummer, big horror film. She's also worked with Christopher Nolan. Again, it wasn't a massive part, but she still worked with him on Oppenheimer. Denis Villeneuve on Dune Part 2. Gonna be Dune Messiah. Greta Gerwig. So quite a lot of, she's been in the MCU. Like, she's worked with quite a lot of, the directors have been quite big, right? Is there anyone that you think that she hasn't worked with that you'd like to see her work with that she hasn't? I mean, I was about to say Park Chan-wook, but she also worked with him on a TV series called Little Drummer Boy, Little Drummer Girl.
Little Drummer Girl, yeah.
So she's already worked with, like, what we'd probably say the biggest South Korean director. Obviously, you got Bong Joon-ho as well. But she's also worked, with actors from across the world, like directors from across the world. Is there any other kind of person you think she's missing?
I have 2 written down, but only directors' names, nothing else.
Yeah, go on.
Got Paul Thomas Anderson and Yorgos.
Oh,
second name I can't pronounce.
Lanthimos?
Yeah,
Yorgos
I think
Lanthimos?
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one actually.
I
could see her being in something like The Lobster or
I've put comedy lead ? On that one.
A comedy lead, I would probably say maybe like a Martin McDonagh, because he's got that weird kind of black comedy humour, which is, kind of, I don't feel like I'd like to see him in that kind of smaller kind of weird comedy.
I'm pointing it down here because I had the same train of thought. I could totally see her. I didn't even think about this until literally right now, the light bulb moment. I could totally see her in a Wes Anderson film.
Oh yes,
because she does that real sort of like straight face, sarcastic. You think about her performance in Oppenheimer, where it's almost like borderline neurodivergent, kind of completely cold towards him for the most part. Like, you could totally see her standing there in dead center frame with a straight face, talking like a robot. Yes, my name is Florence Pugh and I'm in a Wes Anderson. Like, I could totally see her doing that sort of, do you know what I mean? She's even got that sort of, that kind of, we got into a lot of this talk last time, talking about her like physical attributes. She's got a, I don't want to sound rude, she's got a unconventional face almost. Like, she's not like,
you're trying to pick your words very
carefully. She's very, very, very attractive, but there is I hopefully people know what I mean. Do you guys know what I'm trying to say? She doesn't look like your conventional sort of like Jennifer Aniston, like the typical, but that seems to be sort of more the a lot of the leading women nowadays don't look like, if you think about the leading women of like the 80s or whatever.
Oh, but they had a specific look,
there was a very sort of like cookie cutter specific
build,
type. Yeah, exactly. And she doesn't quite fit that. She's unconventional in her fashion sense as well.
Yeah.
So it maybe that's bleeding into my perception of her. But she has that kind of look that I think Wes Anderson goes for.
Yes.
He seems to cast people that are either asymmetrical or have sort of a quirky sort of style, or
they're not what you
aura
say
to them. Yeah,
exactly. They're not a cookie cutter kind of actor.
Yeah, I think of like Bill Murray and Jeff Goldblum and a lot of the, like, they're. Do you see what I mean?
I do. No,
it's a great show.
Yeah, I do see exactly.
I could see her in a Wes Anderson film. I'm surprised that he hasn't put her in. Like, if you told me, if you caught me on like a day where I was feeling hazy or tired and said, "Do you remember Florence Pugh in The French Dispatch?" Like, yeah, mate, yeah.
Yeah.
She seems like she'd be in that type of film.
Yeah, definitely.
What about you, Dan?
I think I'd what I said before, the Martin McDonagh kind of, that kind of comedy, because she's already shown the kind of comedy. I'd say the bit of comedy in Fighting My Family, but for something like that type of film where it's because we know she could do the serious stuff as well, but to do that laced with that kind of weird dark humor, I think would be I'd enjoy seeing that. That'd be a good shout for me. So any other kind of so we say she's worked in like horror. I was basically one of the questions I was going to ask is what other kind of genre or type film would you like to see her in? But she's pretty much nearly done everything, right? Well, she's worked in she's done like big sci-fi epic, grounded comedy, horror, period piece, drama in like Is It a Good Person, where she was doing this. She wrote some songs, done some singing as well. She's pretty much done everything, right? Genre-wise.
We haven't spoken about the MCU shaped elephant in the room.
Oh yes,
because I this is my hot take
on This is Black Widow, yeah, and then also in Hawkeye, yeah. She's
terrible in Black Widow.
Do you know what? I've only seen it in the cinema once. That's the only time I've seen it.
Same.
I think I said this because obviously, as we explained earlier, this is our second time recording this. I think I went on a bit of a tirade the last time because I don't like that casting at all, and I'm very much of the opinion that they should have cast somebody who's actually from Russia or Estonia or Eastern Europe at the very least. They should have gone and found an authentic, young, aspiring Russian American or Russian British or just fully Russian actress, because I know it's in the grand scheme of things, considering what you're asking of an actress, the accent is a relatively small thing, and she is a great actress, but her accent is terrible, and it takes me out of it every single time. And I've seen it twice. I watched it in the cinema, and for me, that is the definition of just casting somebody because they are a name.
And because they're at the time they are household.
Yeah. And I don't think now, even as far, because Black Widow came out 2021 or 2020. It was during the pandemic.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
But she was cast a bit before that. I think they locked her in 2018, 2019. I think if they'd have come to her now, she'd say no. I think they were lucky to get her into whatever contract that they've locked her into, because she showed up in Hawkeye, she showed up in the Thunderbolts. She'll obviously be showing up in whatever Avengers, whether it ends up being the Robert Downey Jr. one or there's now talks that Jonathan Majors might come back and they might backtrack again and do the original plan. I don't know. But she will be in whatever the next Avengers film is. I think if they'd have come to her now in 2024, post Oppenheimer and everything, and said, do you want to play the new Black Widow? She'd say no. And I wouldn't be surprised if her legal team is trying their hardest to get her out of that contract.
Do you think it's because
she seems better than that?
Like, do you think it's because then? Right. So I apologise to everybody because I'm about to talk about Robert Eggers again or something to do with him. But if you look at the accent she has to do, it's obviously completely different to what her voice is anyway. And then you look at Bill Skarsgård in Nosferatu. Would you say that because he's plied with makeup and prosthetics and that he can do that voice, that it's different to just her doing it with just like no prosthetics or whatever? And because they are two completely different accents that those two characters are compared to the people that are acting in them, right? Do you think it is because she has to do this completely out of line with her own voice, what we see her as anyway?
Well, I think this would be... I really want us to do... We've discussed this. I really want to do an episode about actors performing under heavy makeup or actors losing themselves in a role. And I've read about this before, and there are certain actors that have said that working under such heavy prosthesis and makeup is actually quite a liberating thing, and it allows you to tap into way more elevated or heightened acting pools that you might not have been able to tap into before. Like putting on all of the... It's like the same way if you're doing a dress rehearsal, maybe you might be able to do a better performance than you would just in your normal street clothes, because you feel more in tune with that character if you're wearing their apparel and actually going through the motions in costume. Like putting makeup on top of that, some actors have said that adds to that, and it makes you... It's almost freeing in a way. It gives you like anonymity. But then there are other actors that say it's way too constrictive and they don't like having it on. Like famously, Jim Carrey in The Grinch was like a diva and he used to like destroy the set because he hated the makeup. So I don't know whether or not that would have helped Skarsgård get into it. If that's what you're asking, I don't know. But
not so much get into it, but as we're watching the film, so we're watching her in Black Widow, it's pretty much on the face, it's just her.
Yeah.
But she's got this out there accent now. And then you look at Bill Skarsgård, who's got an out there accent, different voice, but you don't recognise him. It's a completely different person.
I just think she does a bad accent. I mean, you think of someone like Robert Pattinson, he's done a different voice pretty much for every character he's ever done, and I don't think any of them are bad.
Yeah.
He's amazing at changing his voice, transforming his voice. I think it was just like, fine, cast Florence Pugh, but just write it in a way that she doesn't have to have that stupid accent. It's like a comedy, sort of like, it's like a stand-up comedian going, in Soviet Russia, we played, blah, blah, blah. It's like, that's what she's like for the whole film, and it's like, just write it so that she's lived in America enough that she's lost the accent.
It does, because, that's what Natasha Romanoff has no accent whatsoever. But when she speaks, like if she does speak in Russian or whatever Eastern European country, it is Russia, isn't it?
Mm.
Either way, she only really gets the accent when she's speaking that language. So it probably wouldn't have been as bad if she gets the hint of the language, if she was a hint of the accent if she was speaking language. But like you say, it wouldn't have gone amiss if she didn't have the Russian accent because her sister doesn't.
It's just, it really took me out of it. It genuinely sounds like she's just, we must stop the Red Room people from making more Russian soldier spies. Come on, Natasha, we have no time to lose. It's like, really? And it works for the big guy, Hopper, whatever his name is. Who's the guy? Your boy from Stranger Things.
I know you mean, yeah.
Hellboy.
But again, that's he looks a lot different.
It works for him because he's playing a way more comedic role in that film. The Red Guardian is meant to be this farce of Captain America, and obviously he's larger than life himself, so it's more forgivable. But they try to go for a lot more serious, emotional beats with the Yelena character, and I just can't take her serious. Like that shot, it gets clipped on Twitter quite a lot towards the end, where Yelena is about to blow something up. It's meant to be like emotional because she might die, she might not survive, and Scarlett Johansson's looking up at her. She's like, "No, don't do it," and she goes, "This was fun," and then she like blows us, and I was just like, "It looks terrible." The whole it looks like a TV movie, and I think if you could, sorry, that was my ring hitting this. There we go. I don't know if you just.
I'd be very interested to see what you think of her accent in Fighting With My Family. Especially because if you think about all the other films, she's either played an English person and she's English, or she's done just like a standard kind of your standard American accent in other films. But I'll be really interested to see what you think of her accent in Fighting With My Family.
Can you give me the keyboard and the mouse? I'm going to find this clip from Black Widow so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Charlie hasn't spoken in a while, so while I'm doing this, Charlie, give me your opinion on Black Widow if you have one.
I've only seen it once, and I think I left with 45 minutes to go.
Did you actually?
Yeah.
Do you ever leave a film?
On that one, yeah. No, yeah, I agree with the accent thing. I don't know whether she'll change it for Thunderbolts. I haven't seen. I think I'm kind of distancing myself from.
Well, we haven't really seen a lot of Thunderbolts, have we? In terms of the trailer for that.
Has there been a trailer?
Yeah, there's been 2 or 3, I think.
Ooh.
It comes out pretty soon. The Thunderbolts.
Does it?
Yeah. Comes out.
It's like summer or something.
Yeah, that's soon.
Oh, yeah, soon.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see if there's any sort of change in accent. But
I don't think there will be. Especially because she's done it also in the Hawkeye TV show as well?
Okay. Yeah, again,
Yeah, because she's kept it in that as well.
Watch this. Even the title.
I know.
Of this clip
I know exactly
shitty
what
Marvel CGI and Black Widow.
I know exactly what bit you. Is that the first time you've seen that bit, Charlie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember
That's atrocious. Is
that towards the end of the film? Yeah.
Yeah. This is. I'm just replaying it.
Yeah, just one more time.
I'll put the
I
sound
just
on.
played it 12 seconds long.
Yeah.
Oh. Fucking hell.
How much did this movie cost? How do I?
Oh, probably like 150 million. If you just go up, I don't know, probably about 150 million, maybe.
Jesus.
Oh, so Ollie right now is going to show us why Wikipedia is the best form. Here we go.
Where's the budget? I've gone too far. 285 million.
No way.
And that's what it looks like. There's no excuse for that.
Yeah.
And they were sitting on it for like 3 years because then they wrap principal photography like in between Infinity War and Endgame or something. Like it was in development for like 15 years because it was meant to come out in phase 1 originally, wasn't it? The Black Widow film. They were all meant to have a film in the lead up to the Avengers, and then it just got pushed back and pushed back.
Wow.
I also think that because this film did not do well. Let's look at the box office. That's shocking.
What was the box office?
379 million.
So it
Didn't
what was the budget again?
288 million.
So it just for a big comic book film, it only just did about 100 million.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's going to be a massive loss for them. And I know the pandemic had a lot to do with it, but my thing is also that everybody knows that Black Widow is already dead. So why would you go and watch a prequel film about a character that's died?
Mm.
I just think that I really, really detest that film, and I don't like Florence Pugh in it. What are your guys' thoughts about her in that film?
Well, I agree. Like I completely agree with you. Where they've done it before, where they've, especially in the Marvel films, where they've cast someone who has that background for that character. So I agree with you. They should have probably had someone that was Russian or Eastern European doing that character. I completely agree with that. In terms of that kind of like, we say bad from that, but so the film that she was also in, Don't Worry Darling, didn't get well received either. But I thought, because I watched it obviously when we did the original lead up to doing this episode. I watched it, and again, I thought she was the best part of that film. What are your thoughts on that, Charlie? You're giving me looks.
I really wanted to enjoy it, and sort of in my head made up something to help me sort of understand Harry Styles in that film, because a lot of people were just like, he's terrible, and I really, really, really wanted to like it. So I was just like, how do I explain this? So he's in the film, he's sort of playing a character.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, of course, the acting's going to be bad because he's sort of in the film, he's not a very nice person and kind of a down and out. I was like, he's trying to play this like successful guy and he's not doing a very good job. In hindsight, I think it's just bad acting.
You're trying to make it
tried
good.
to convince myself that he was sort of playing a part in the film.
So is he supposed to be British in it?
I don't know. Yeah, I think
he's a Brit living in America.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So then he didn't really need to, because when the thought I got from it was that it was a bit. It was like he was, like say, he's trying to act as one person, acting as another person while still trying to be British. But he is British. So he didn't really need. It felt to me like he was trying to be British. A little bit.
Yeah. But yeah, she was definitely the best part of that film.
Have you seen Don't Worry Darling, Ollie?
Yeah.
What
I
did you
actually
think?
saw it opening night because a couple of my friends are huge Harry Styles fans. And he had 2 films out that year. He had that and then the Policeman one. I can't remember. Is it My Policeman?
Oh, yeah.
Something like that. So I wouldn't say dragged along to see it because I was excited to see it. The trailers
made it look really intriguing.
So I saw it in IMAX on opening night, and I was like, "This is just The Matrix."
In IMAX?
Yeah, I saw it in IMAX. I was like, "This is just The Matrix, but not as good." No, it basically spoilers for a film that's like 3 years old at this point. But I was like, "This is The Matrix, but not as good, not as fun, with worse actors all around. And she's good in it, but
I didn't mind Chris Pine in it, to be honest.
yeah, but he's not in it enough, though, is he?
No, that's the problem.
I would have much preferred if Chris Pine was in Harry Styles' part.
Still playing the kind of the cult leader.
Yeah, playing the leader, but his wife is Florence Pugh,
Yeah,
who starts to realise what the hell's going
that
on.
would yeah.
Because he has way better gravitas and chops to pull that off. He's 10 times a better actor than Harry Styles. And it would have been more interesting. And also, you could have played on the fact that it's slightly more predatory because there would have been a more significant age gap, which would have added to just the whole seedy ickiness of it all. Like, he's a nearly 50-year-old man with a 22-year-old wife who he's kind of misled under false pretenses into this fantasy world. I didn't enjoy Harry Styles in that film, just like you, Charlie.
Yeah.
But what did you think of Florence? As this is the Florence episode, was she just all right for you?
Yeah, she's all right. I mean, it's not her fault, but that sort of the borderline hysteric wife who is at the mercy of her scheming husband is a bit of a cliched trope anyway. It's like we've all seen films like that before, where the woman sort of like it's the Rosemary's Baby sort of story, but again, this time with a Matrix twist. I mean, she does it well. Like, it's not one that I particularly revisit, and I'll be honest with you, until you brought it up, I forgot that she was in it. Like, when you say Florence Pugh to me, I think the very first thing I think of is Midsummer.
Yeah.
And maybe that's because it was the first film I saw her in, or maybe because it is such a...
I'd probably say it's her standout role is Midsummer, definitely. But then again, like you say, the themes and it's quite an intense film. It probably is going to stick with you a lot more.
She has quite a thankless part in Oppenheimer. That's a difficult part. Yeah. And there are quite a lot... I've read quite a lot of writings and ruminations on that film where people say Jean Tatlock is arguably the most significant character in the story to a certain degree, or the most significant role in the real Oppenheimer's life. And she was quite an interesting person by all accounts in real life, Jean Tatlock. But in that film, she plays it... I honestly found her quite unlikable in that film. I know that they frame her towards the end. You see a lot from Emily Blunt's perspective, and obviously she's having an affair with her husband, so you don't see her that she's not cast in the best of lights, I think. But again, that means for me it was a more difficult part for Florence Pugh to play, because she's playing essentially the other woman, isn't she?
With not a lot of screen time either.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're looking like you're searching for something in your brain to say. There's something you want to say.
No, I have something to say, but I'm trying to bring it up in a respectful manner. She's not shy about doing full frontal nudity, is she, Florence Pugh?
No.
Because there's 3 films where she gets her tits out.
Is there? Well, no, obviously she does in
Oppenheimer, We Live in Time. And then doesn't she do it in Don't Worry Darling as well?
I don't think so. Not that I remember.
I just thought it was a funny... just a thing of note. I just... yeah.
All right, okay, in terms of... if we talk about her...
Sorry to make it crass and to lower the...
Yeah. Okay, so quickly, if we move on to then her role in We Live in Time, her most recent film, could you explain to me her role, because I haven't seen it yet, could you explain like her role, what she, like everything about her in that film and what the film's kind of about?
Go on, Charlie. You gave us a good synopsis of Don't Worry Darling a second ago.
So the Andrew Garfield works for Weetabix. Florence Pugh, like an upcoming sort of chef, works. Did I say that she used to like a family restaurant and then she went out on her own? Was that?
I think so. He's a divorcee,
yeah,
isn't he? Living at home with his dad.
she gets ill. She gets ill twice in the film. Through shit. Cut that.
They have a chance encounter.
Yeah.
So he is on a business trip on behalf of Weetabix, and he's in a hotel room trying to sign or finalise his divorce papers. He doesn't have a pen, so he walks to the local sort of One Stop or Premier, which for those listening overseas is a brand of corner shop here in the UK. And she hits him with his car when he's walking back to the hotel, and that's how they meet. And they have a love affair, don't they, Charlie?
They do.
So they have this
Quite
love
like
affair.
an unconventional love story.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else did you say you wanted to know? Sorry.
So just kind of like what? So she ends up getting ill, and is it? I take it's the whole. Does a film there go on from them trying to manage her illness?
Yeah, it goes on like non-linear, so it kind of cuts some forwards and back, which took me a little bit out of it, and also the cancer diagnosis and what she was able to achieve after that diagnosis took me a little bit out of it as well.
So yeah, they established that her character has had cancer before, but is in remission. And then early on in the film, they find out that she's got it again. And she is early on, quite a lot of the tension comes from whether or not she's going to take chemo for it, because you don't know whether or not she's going to fight it. And then I think they agree, don't they, Charlie? She says, "Oh, we'll fight it together," or whatever. But then the third act sort of tension comes from she gets invited to compete in a very prestigious sort of international cooking contest. It's like the Ballon d'Or for chefs. Like an award ceremony for really, really impressive cooks. But her doctors have said to her, like, you need to be on bed rest. Like, you can't be stressing yourself out. Which is obviously the complete opposite of competing in this really, really intense, stressful. We were talking off air about The Bear and about how I didn't like that show because it's just like every episode they're just stressing out and shouting and swearing, and I was like, calm down, it's just a bit of food, mate. Like, chill. Like, imagine that, and that's just for like some shitty restaurant that serves fucking greasy fry-ups and Philly cheesesteaks. Like, this is like for the most prestigious like competition award, that a chef can earn.
Yeah, like Michelin star.
Yeah, exactly.
Stuff.
And they show her training for it, and it's really, really intense. And it's like the complete opposite of what she should be doing. So she accepts the invitation to this competition and starts practicing in secret behind her husband's back. And he thinks that she's like at home resting and doing all she can to fight the cancer, when actually she's been off prepping for this cooking contest. And then the clincher, the bit that sort of when the shit hits the fan, so to speak, is they are planning a wedding because they aren't actually married. They've got a child, but they're not married. And he says, I want to marry you before anything happens so that you can be my wife. And they plan their wedding, but it happens that this wedding coincides with the final round of this cooking contest that she's training for. And it's like, will she pick to marry him or go to the cooking contest? And Charlie, what does she pick?
The cooking contest.
And it really pissed me off in the cinema. But I was seeing it with two friends, and they were really, really glad that she picked the cooking contest. So I think it's going to come. It's a really deeply. It's ultimately what matters to you and what's significant in your life. What you would pick. But I remember sitting there thinking, oh, for fuck's sake, like. If I was Andrew Garfield, I'd be well pissed off. But he supports her, and it's lovely, and she ultimately goes, and I think she wins, doesn't she, Charlie?
Doesn't she walk out? Don't you ever? I don't think you find out.
You don't find out whether she. We've spoiled the entire film.
Yeah, sorry. The other bit was whether they kind of the Andrew Garfield wants children. She doesn't know. That was another conflict towards the bit kind of beginning of the film. I think that was awkward as well. Like that decision.
Yeah. What I liked about that sequence was he sort of lays it on really thick, and it's quite cliched. So yeah, early on in the film, because Charlie said they tell the story of their romance sort of non-chronologically, sorry. And so they're going back and forth from the present to the past. And you see this scene where they've been dating like a few weeks or maybe a few months. They haven't moved in together. It's still very early days. And he sort of comes into the kitchen and blurts out like, "Do you want kids?" or something like that. And she's like, "What? Like, I barely know you." And he's like, "Yeah, but I'm deeply, madly falling in love with you, and I need to know now whether you want kids before I essentially decide whether or not to waste my time, because I'm in love with you and I want kids." And he sort of lays it on really thick and cliched, a bit like a somebody acting in a romance movie. Like, the dialogue is very, very cliched, and in that type of film that you've seen before, you'd expect the woman to sort of fall lovingly into his arms and be like, "Oh yeah, like, I'm in love with you too. Is this like a romance we're having? Like, I can't believe this." But she turns around and she's like, "What the fuck? Like, I barely know you, mate. Like, why are you asking me if I want kids? We've known each other like a month at best. You fucking freak."
So would you say it's kind of like an unconventional love story?
Yeah, but it was like very realistic, because I've seen that sort of that kind of cheesy romance dialogue before, but she reacted in a very believable, realistic way. She understandably turns around and is like, "What the fuck? Like, you barely know." But like the equivalent of asking essentially somebody on like the first date like what their body count is, or like or asking them deep dark secrets when you've known them a couple of hours or something. And she's just like, "You like, fuck off," which I thought was good. I enjoyed that bit.
What in for her like as like acting in that? Then how did you feel like compared to other films? Was it okay? Was it stand? Because what you garner from the trailers is that it's going to be quite a heavy film for her to have to portray, you know, the illness and all that stuff. That's what I got from the trailer. Is her acting kind of like, is it, because it sounds like a different film what you've described to me than what I've seen in the trailer. Like, there's nothing to do about like her cooking or anything like that.
No, there isn't nothing in the trailers, is there, Charlie?
No. The trailers to me made it look like it was a love story between her and Andrew Garfield, and then him helping her to fight this illness. That's all I got from it. So I thought it's probably a reason why maybe she wasn't nominated, because I thought the way that they showed that trailer was this is going to be heavy topic, and she's going to have to play somebody that's seriously ill for the majority of the film, and she's going to have to portray that in a kind of a delicate way because millions of people go through it, you know, now. So she's got to portray that in a certain way. So that's why I thought, oh, she's going to get nominated, but obviously she hasn't. Would you say that it's... Do you see where I'm coming from in terms of I was a little bit confused from the trailer and what you've just described to me? And was her acting kind of like elevated because of the subject matter?
I'd have to probably say, yeah. The scene in the hospital where she gets kind of told that kind of it's like stage 4 or something. That whole bit where they cut the ice by they kind of the doctor offers a chocolate, doesn't she? Mm. That scene really got the acting in that one got to me, but I think that's more it kind of personal stuff to the side. This movie was really hard for me to watch. I got through it, but there was a couple of times where like I had to kind of stop myself from bawling my eyes out.
Yeah.
So, as I said before, the only thing that took me out was what she was able to receive, to do after she started the treatment.
Yeah.
But that's because, you know, again, personal stuff. I know what people go through. So, I think that answers the thing. But yeah, I thought they were both great in it.
I haven't seen that many films directly about cancer. But what I appreciated is that it like the stuff with the like I was saying earlier about the dialogue about when he asked her about children, it showed quite a lot of the I'd say some of the more not very discussed parts of a cancer diagnosis. It showed them quite frankly. Like it was quite sweet and earnest. There's a bit early on in the film, obviously not early on in their romance, but in the story, after the diagnosis where she just straight up says to him, like, I want to have sex quite a lot now because we're not going to be able to later. Like, I want you to be able to, I want us to be able to enjoy each other now while I'm still healthy and able to do it properly. Whereas later on we won't be able to. And that's not something that I've really seen spoken about that much in a cancer film or a film about a fatal illness. And there are just quite a few moments like that. And obviously I was being sort of flippant and facetious earlier when I was talking about the thing with the cooking contest. The whole point is obviously that she stresses she wants something to be remembered by. And she's having this sort of real crisis because she's dying young. She knows she's going to die young, and she's paranoid about the fact that she's going to not leave behind a legacy that her daughter can be proud of. And she wants to accomplish something before she dies, so that's why she's so determined to win this competition. And I remember watching it in the cinema and being like, oh, that's real. I don't agree with that. But then I sort of, not to sound cheesy, I confronted my own biases afterwards, because I was like, if I think about something like, for example, Rocky 2, right, where the main character is a man doing a very masculine thing, going off to fight in a boxing bout. He leaves Adrian in the hospital when she's just woken up from a coma. Very, very similar circumstances where you've got a character quite selfishly not abandoning their loved one, but putting their loved one to the side so that they can pursue something for themselves. I was fine with that in Rocky 2, but then when I watched this film, I was like, I would be pissed off if I was Andrew Garfield. And I was like, hang on, wait a minute. Why was I comfortable when watching something like Rocky, but got my back up a bit when watching this? And I was like, that's actually me. I've got to address a bias I have in and of myself. And when I thought about it in those terms, I was like, yeah, that actually makes sense. I was being a bit of an arsehole there, and I can totally see why that character has decided to do that thing and why they've written it as such. And I enjoyed the film a lot more because of that. And it's actually made me change my perspective on something.
That's really good that a film's made you question something about yourself.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed that film way more than I thought I would.
Yeah.
I think I gave it, I know this is really arbitrary and doesn't mean anything, but I think I gave it 4 out of 5 on Letterboxd, or maybe 4.5 out of 5. Like
due to the fact that the reaction you had in yourself from it.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. It's definitely better than Black Widow. We've still got up on our monitor, we've still got the Black Widow Wikipedia page, and the poster has just been staring at me. Dog shit film.
There's a quote in We Live in Time that I think that definitely got to both of us, where she's kind of speaking and she kind of outbursts when she's talking about kind of her legacy and stuff, and she kind of said something like, I don't want to be just someone's dead mum, or and something, and that was fuck.
It's a deeply personal thing, because there are some people that would, I mean, obviously I'm fortunate enough to have not ever had to experience something like that, but there are people that would turn around and say, well, a child and a loving family is the best legacy anybody can leave behind, and in 200, 300 years' time, you're going to have family members that will still know you exist, but nobody really is going to give a toss about some dusty trophies in a cabinet that you've earned. That's completely arbitrary. A family is the best legacy anybody can have, and having a loving partner and those sorts of accomplishments in life are better than any awards or medals or ribbons that you can achieve. But then obviously the film is very much of the opinion that no, she wanted to achieve something for herself and wanted to do something significant. So I can totally see both sides of that opinion coin. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. 100%.
That's why I think it's a deeply personal thing, and how your stance on that is going to affect how you enjoy that film. As I said, I personally at the time was like, well, no, she being a mum and having a family is a great legacy to leave behind, and I'd be really annoyed if I was Andrew Garfield and she was putting a fucking cooking contest above our wedding. But then I came out of the film and I was like, hang on a minute, I've watched plenty of films where the dude is in that perspective and he goes off to do his thing and leaves his wife or woman behind, and I'm fine with it there. Why am I not comfortable or not happy with it comfortable is the wrong word here. And I realise that that's a bias that I have, and it's made me enjoy. I don't necessarily agree with it 100%, but I certainly enjoy the film a lot more.
For it, yeah. That's good.
I think you'd enjoy it, Dan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's as soon as I get the opportunity, I will. It kind of the whole linearity. What I kind of gather from that, the linearity, I get a little bit of In Time vibe. You know, the film with Rachel McAdams and Brendan Gleeson. Not Brendan Gleeson. Who's his son?
Domhnall
Gleeson. In terms of like the kind of linearity and back and forth. And then also get has either of you seen Blue Valentine with Ryan Gosling? And that's similar to what you say. That's a very realistic film showing kind of love and a marriage. Is like even little bits like they end up having sex, and then for the next like minute or so you're watching them clean themselves up and bits like that. Like usually in films when people have sex, they roll over and they're done, they just get up and carry on with their day. But it shows the realistic side of, you know, it shows everything. So I kind of get that vibe of the kind of the whole a real side of love, like you say, with the whole as in, what the fuck are you saying that you want to have kids with me when you've seen me for like we've been together for like 2 weeks or whatever. Bits like that. But no, it's definitely on my list. Okay, so can you see why she wasn't nominated at all for this film? Was it kind of just like a kind of standard?
I felt like they were planning for her to be. But
yeah, that's what I mean. Like you plan what in terms of like the nominations we know now. Can you see why she wasn't nominated?
Can you bring up the list of nominations for Best Actress? Because I watched Emilia Perez yesterday or Thursday, and then last night I watched Nickel Boys. So I'm slowly working my way through the Best Picture nominations. Here we are. Dan's just bringing up the list for us.
So, actress in leading role: Cynthia Erivo for Wicked, Carla Sofia Gascon for Emilia Perez, Mikey Madison, Anora, Demi Moore, The Substance, and Fernanda Torres, I'm Still Here. So can you see from the short list of 5, the final 5, can you see why she didn't? Was her role in that? Did it?
I think she should have been nominated. I'm not qualified enough. Because I'm literally just a nobody who's never made a film at uni in sixth form, so I'm not qualified enough to say with any authority. And also because I've only seen 3 of those 5 performances, so I can't pick one that I would substitute out for Florence Pugh. But I would definitely say out of the roles that I've seen Florence Pugh in, this is one of her best. I'd say this is in her top 3.
Yeah.
It's hard to take anyone out. I haven't seen Emilia Perez or I'm Still Here, so
I definitely think the Academy is probably wishing that they'd nominated Pugh instead of Gascon in light of what's happened.
We'll have a discussion about that after this episode. But okay, do you think that she, based on like her, so all the roles that we've gone over today and all like what she's done so far, could you see her in the future winning something? Again, obviously, probably depends on what's available or what she gets.
Yeah, another sort of small indie like sort of role that about in Living Time. I think that 100%. She definitely has a range. We've talked about so many films today.
Yeah. I think it's a shoo-in that she'll get an Oscar at some point. There is a short list of actors today that don't have an Oscar, and you know for a fact that they are going to get an Oscar at some point. There is a pool of 100 actors that get cast by the same directors in the same big films, the same type of things that get nominated. We tried to record an episode, our reaction to the Oscar nominations of the day, and it didn't go 100% the best. Maybe we'll try and do it again. But I was sort of saying there seems to be a short list of like a pool of people, the same faces, the same names, the same genres that get picked for the Oscars. There are loads of people that get really up in arms about it and say it's not fair because there are genres like horror and whatnot that never seem to get any recognition. But I'd say it's a done deal that Florence Pugh is going to get an Oscar at some point in her career.
Do you think it's kind of similar to when like Leonardo DiCaprio got nominated so many times that when he got it for The Revenant?
Oh yeah, 100%.
That was kind of like a legacy.
Cumulative, like a recognition of everything he'd done up until that point.
Could you see it
Probably.
becoming something like that?
Yeah. Has I was going to say Daisy Ridley. It's not Daisy Ridley. Has Emma Stone won twice?
Yeah.
What did she win the second one for?
Poor Things.
She won it for Poor Things.
Yeah. And was it La La Land, the other one?
Yeah, La La Land
and Poor Things. Yes, so she's won twice.
Did you guys see Poor Things?
I haven't yet. I'm trying to see because it's difficult to persuade Ashley to watch something like that on the best of days. So it's gonna be something that, like, I watched Banshees of Inisherin on a Saturday morning at 7 in the morning, and I wish I didn't, because nobody should wake up and watch that at 7 in the morning.
No, really.
But I get the feeling I'm gonna be doing that again for this film. Have you seen it, Charlie?
Yeah, so I've seen it twice. I saw it at the cinema, really liked it. Watched it again, didn't like it.
Oh, okay. That's pretty.
It was just a bit too much. I felt there was too much going on. It was. The second rewatch was a nightmare.
Willem Dafoe just does that weird. There's a reoccurring thing with him where he I think if I remember correctly, he's like a cyborg. But every now and then he sort of has to distend his jaw like a python, and this bubble, like a steampunk bubble, just pops out of his mouth. Like he's overheating or something. He just goes like that, and like a bubble comes. They never explain. Just weird things like that happen.
Because I love weird shit like that.
Yeah, it's right up your alley.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that you didn't see it.
I wanted to, but like I said, to be able to persuade somebody who doesn't like that type of thing.
Can I? It's not really a spoiler, but
no,
it's
you can.
kind of
No,
a
you talk
spoiler.
about it. No, just talk about it.
So
I think we've talked about it a little bit before, so I think I kind of know what goes on with it.
it's like a almost like a spin on Shelley's Prometheus, in that Willem Dafoe is like an inventor. He's like a crackpot Dr. Frankenstein, and I keep thinking Daisy Ridley. Emma Stone is his creation, and they're living together it's in Paris, isn't it, or in London? It's kind of vague about what the time is, but it's sort of like this alternate reality kind of steampunk. There's no smartphones or anything, but technology is advanced enough that he's able to create life in his house in the basement, and he raises her like a daughter. And then when she's of age, she goes out to explore the world, right? And it's like following her voyages. She goes on a cruise at some point. Then she goes to live in like a lodgings in Paris or something.
Yep.
But there is lots of sex in that film, like lots of sex. She has sex multiple times with Mark Ruffalo, and then again with, I can't remember her, but there's quite a lot of, and then at one point she begins like a lesbian love affair with one of her roommates, and lots of full frontal nudity on Emma Stone's part. It gets to a point where it's almost like you sort of think to yourself, or at least me and my friend did, we were like, oh, give it a rest. Like, loads of sex. And then the twist of the film is that Emma Stone is a child in a woman's body.
Yeah, I've heard that bit. Yeah.
She has the brain of an infant that's been put into the body of an adult female. So, and they're very specific about how much time has elapsed throughout the film. So at the point where she's getting like completely railed by Mark Ruffalo and then gets a job as a prostitute living in a house where she's like getting like very manhandled on a daily basis, she would have been like 6 or 7 years old.
Wow.
Or like have the mental age of a child by that point. It's very Lolita coded. It's very and that sort of twist happens, and it kind of took me out of it. I was like, I don't know how I feel about that. And I know that that's the point.
Yeah.
I know that is the whole point of it. But I was just
Did you know that it was a book?
No, I didn't know that until afterwards, but I'm not in a hurry to read it. I know it's kind of off topic, but what did you think of that film, Charlie? Beyond in more detail.
As I said, I really enjoyed when I first watched it. It was sort of my cup of tea, and then, as you said, the whole being such the brain of such a young person. On the second watch, I just couldn't really couldn't really do it. I might do it. I might watch it again just to kind of maybe watch it with you. But yeah, just everyone was really unlikable as well. Even this character who you're supposed to kind of feel sorry for, or I just didn't. Yeah, it was just really, really, really enjoyable. I just fucking. And I like every other film he's done, and that's kind of what disappointed me about it the most, I think.
So, in terms of like that kind of, so we said previously as well, I think it was you said like you would like to see Florence Pugh maybe in a Yorgos Lanthimos type of film. Could you see her doing something? Obviously not that role because it's been done now, but like seeing that and us having this little chat, could you see her in more of that kind of role now?
Yeah,
as in like
I think so.
for one of his
Ollie
films.
said something about The Lobster. I think a film sort of on the same sort of page as that she'd do quite well in.
Because his films are quite dark humour as well, aren't they?
Yeah.
So we're kind of like slowly agreeing that a dark humour with her as like the lead in a dark humour is kind of something that we'd like to see her in. Yeah?
We don't really like to discuss politics or politically adjacent things here, but do you think it's worth addressing the fact that there is a trend among certain sort of rising stars, not just in Hollywood, but in music and the arts here in the UK, where it's kind of predictable if you sort of think of any sort of up-and-coming English, British, whatever you want to call it, star from the UK that's under 30, there's like a 90% chance if you go on their Wikipedia, they're going to have a very similar sort of early life and upbringing, wealthy parents, raised in London or born in London, went to a very well-off school. I know that's just the way, but do you think it's worth acknowledging that she maybe had like a bit of an advantage in her younger life?
I think that's the first time I've heard that. So I don't think it's right for me to. I don't
know the history.
I don't know the history of that, or that kind of that whole the current under 30s crop having this other upbringing. I don't know really a lot about that to comment on it,
because there's been a bit of a discourse online in the last 24 hours. Lola Young, it's been revealed her aunt was the author of The Gruffalo. And it sounds really bizarre just out loud, but quite a lot of people were arguing, does that make her a Nepo baby? And loads of people were saying, well, no, because it's her aunt. And then other people were saying, well, if your aunt has a net worth of 85 million off the back of one of the best-selling children's books of this millennia, that does give you a bit of an advantage. And some people were saying there's just a bit of a trend emerging that it's always they seem to go to the same sorts of schools and have the same. Was it Charlie Cox or Daniel Radcliffe? Someone was talking about it recently and was saying that the most famous British stars of the last sort of 15, 20 years all seem to have come from the same pool of schools and acting schools and colleges and sort of privileged backgrounds.
Well, that's the case for the whole. Isn't that the case for the whole industry?
Yeah, no, I mean it's for the wider industry, but
it's who you know. To get into it, it's who you know, and if they know great actors or supposedly great actors come from these schools, or directors come from these film schools, or that person like the whole Nepo baby. If that person's a great director, surely their kid's been like exposed to it for so long, they should be great as well. We'll give them a chance and all stuff like that. It's the whole industry. It's an industry-wide thing, right?
Yeah. No, I just thought it might be worth acknowledging, because there might be some people listening out there that might say that's worth just bringing up, that she did come from quite a privileged, wealthy background. And it's a shame. It is a shame. Like I was saying with my Black Widow thing, that's why I feel so strongly about people. You think there are probably millions of aspiring actresses in Russia or in Europe that are just as talented as Florence Pugh, maybe more so, that would love to have been given an opportunity to have a break like that, to star and use their native sort of background in that role, given a platform and opportunity like that. but they've lost out because they're not a name. Go on.
Sorry, do you think as well then that, well, a lot of this is for money though, right?
Yeah.
So when it comes to studios, when you say the casting of Florence Pugh for Black Widow came at a point where she was possibly one of the biggest rising actresses at that time. So they've gone, well, everybody's starting to know the name Florence Pugh. We need to cast it in this film so we get more bums in seats, basically. So, like with everything, unfortunately, do you think it's kind of a money thing as well? So not just her.
Oh yeah,
I wouldn't
100%.
I wouldn't say it's more privileged. Well, like she obviously probably maybe had an easier start in getting her acting career up and running, but then she's had to solidify that by giving good performances. And then because she's given good performances, studios and that are then going, well, she's become a household name. No one's going to want to see a film with someone they've never heard of before.
Yeah, no, yeah. I'm not naive. I go, no, that's how the industry works. We're not filmmakers, but Hollywood is slave to the economic model and everything. But it's just, I just think it's a shame that there are, and it goes for not just Florence Pugh. I'm not singling her out and saying that she's a villain because she's had a good start in life, or because she's got a role in a bloody Marvel film that wasn't even that good. I'm just saying it's a shame, and again, it extends beyond acting. Same for almost every creative field. There are millions, if not tens or hundreds of millions out there that are just as talented as the likes of Florence Pugh that won't get a chance to show that to the world because they've been born in different circumstances. And I just think it's a shame, and I just think it's worth us acknowledging.
I agree. I agree. Right. Well, finally then, just quickly, so favourite performance of her after all that we've talked about, all the films that she's been in, what would you say your favourite performance of hers was?
Danny in Midsommar.
Yelena Belova in Black. Probably Oppenheimer.
Yeah,
I think that's I really like her in Oppenheimer. Again, she doesn't have much screen time, but she leaves a real indelible mark. And by all accounts, she informed a lot of the real life Oppenheimer's thoughts and perspectives on things in his early years. So yeah, probably Oppenheimer.
For me, it's a cross between Danny from Midsommar, but I also really liked her in Little Women.
I liked her in Dune Part 2 as well, for what it's worth.
Yeah,
I'm excited to see, because she's going to have a much bigger role now in the third film. I'm very intrigued to see.
Yeah, the time jump is 12 years.
Yeah,
after the second one. So,
I'm not that familiar with the Dune books. I know I actually like the David Lynch film. Rest in peace. I got it on Arrow Video. It's a really good Blu-ray. She's obviously Paul's concubine. No, Chani is his real wife. It's like marriage. It's like a marriage of politics, isn't it? He weds the emperor's daughter. Does that become like an actual romance later on in the story?
I couldn't tell you, to be honest.
I was a child. I was probably about 12 or 13 when I tried to read it, but only got a certain way through.
Reading Dune at 12.
Yeah, I mean, I've been listening to the audiobook recently. The problem about the audiobook is it's like 16 hours long, and it's whoever's reading it is very monotone, so it puts me to sleep like that. So I'm having trouble actually getting through it. But from what I believe, it's 100% just for political reasons.
Yeah,
because he's still sort of with Chani in the Messiah.
At the end of Dune, his personality's kind of shifted, isn't it?
Yeah, that's like the tragedy of the Paul character, isn't it? That he eventually
he accepts his fate, doesn't he?
I say it's tragic. He chooses, from what I know of the books, he chooses to hold on to his last bit of humanity, and he rejects the golden path, doesn't he? He says, I can't, because ultimately he's given a vision that if he's to complete his intergalactic jihad and secure humanity's place among the stars, he must become the worm, isn't it? That he must bond with the sand trout, and he says, I can't do it. And he walks away. And it's his son, Leto 2, who becomes the worm. I think that's the bit that excites me more, and I know that doesn't happen in Messiah. That's Children and God Emperor, isn't it? But I want to see that in the Dune films. I know this isn't a Dune discussion, but like that's what I want to see from those films. The whole worm dude. But it's interesting in real life. I really like the history of the British monarchy. I think it's fascinating. But there is a lot of examples of that in monarchies around the world, of princes and princesses who have been forced to marry for political reasons, but then later in life an actual sort of romance eventually blossoms from circumstance because they've had to live together for so long. And then in some cases the opposite is true. They detest each other to begin with, and it just gets worse and worse and worse as it goes on. But I was just interested to find out like what part she's going to have in this third film. Like, what role does she have, the Emperor's daughter? It's bad. Is it Princess Ilaryn? Is that her name?
Irulan,
yeah.
Yeah.
She's played by, not Gates McFadden in the original one. She's a woman in TNG and in Pet Sematary. Plays, I can't remember her name, blonde woman. She does the opening narration in the David Lynch version. It's her face comes up on the screen. And she gives the opening crawl if it was a Star Wars movie, and explains like the spice melange.
Well, I think we'll probably wrap it up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any final thoughts?
I don't really have that much to say about
Okay.
Florence Pugh. This is one of our shorter episodes at an hour and a half if you add the other bit that we're going to add on.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't, again, she's early in her career, so I'm sure if we're still doing this many years down the line, something might develop and we'll revisit it. But no, I think we'll leave it there.
Who do you think, Dan, will be our next actor that we talk about long form, our next actor special? Can we give any teasers to who that might be?
I haven't really thought about it. We've at the moment we've got plans up to episode 13. I will not reveal what they are. However, we do have another director in our eyesight for it.
Do we?
Yeah.
I can't remember. Oh yeah.
But actor-wise, no, I haven't. Really
I'd quite like to do an Arnie special.
Oof. Do you know what I think would be a good one? A good one would be, I feel like, Adam Sandler.
Yes.
An Adam Sandler actor one.
Yes.
Because you've got his Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, all that, and then you've got stuff like Punch Drunk Love, Hidden Gem, like completely different. I think that'd be a good one to go through.
I could probably talk about Arnold Schwarzenegger on my own in a locked room for a working week, uninterrupted, with no food and water. That man is my bread and butter. I love Arnie, and I always will. So you could ring me up in the middle of the night and say, "Ollie, get down here. We're doing an Arnie special," and I could come in my pajamas and just
in your pants.
Yeah, 100%. So Arnie's a lock for me whenever. But Sandler would be really good.
I'll tell you what we'll do then. We'll put a poll up.
Yeah.
After this episode's come out, we'll put a poll up the next day, and we'll have a couple. We'll put Arnie there. We'll put Adam Sandler there. We'll put a couple of others, and then we'll put another. And if you want to comment on it, see what actors you'd be interested to hear us talk about, and we'll see if we can get some influence.
I think we should put in that list Timothée Chalamet, because I think he's kind of like the male equivalent to Florence Pugh, in that he kind of came out of nowhere, sort of the mid 2010s. Had some interesting early roles and is now like the hot young name.
Yeah.
Like his trajectory, and they've been in very similar films, and they were both in Little Women.
And
like
Dune.
Yeah, exactly.
Dune too, yeah.
He's done films almost in every genre now. He's been nominated for an Academy Award now. I think it's a shoo-in that he'll get one at some point.
Yeah.
He's like the male equivalent to Florence Pugh.
That's a very good point. Yeah. Charlie? Oh, you said
Yeah,
Arnie. Right. All right, we'll put those three in. Then maybe we'll think of another one, and then we'll do another. And then any others you want us to hear us talk about, then we'll pop it in. Right. We happy, gents?
we're happy.
Very happy.
Right. Thank you very much, Charlie.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you very much, Charlie.
Thank you, guys.
Right. Well, you'll hear us next week. You got to listen to the end of the previous episode we set out, because there was a sign off that I thought was a great sign off. It just came about, and I tried doing it then, and I messed it up. I'm sorry. See you later, guys.
Bye.
You can tell we're still new to this because so this is the second time in one episode where we've paused and then started recording again. So we're adding this on just to shamelessly plug our socials. The socials that Dan created and has had on lock for like nearly 2 years. He forgets to say.
I got them too. I got them just to make sure nobody else got the name.
Yeah.
And I keep forgetting to plug them, right? So our Instagram handle is at the missing scene pod. Our X is at missing scene pod. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Music, and we might as well do it as well. We all have our own letterbox. I'm just Daniel Jeeves. Charlie, you are?
Westwood Sea, I think.
And Ollie, you are?
OJB. But you can find a link to all of them in a link tree on our Instagram.
Exactly. Good point. I always forget about the link tree. Also, if you are listening to this, it would be great on there. There is also one on our link tree. But if you could sign the petition, if it is still going, for the Prince Charles Cinema, to save it, because some landlords are greedy people. If you can sign it, every signature counts, every signature helps, so that'd be great. I've been forcing people in my family to do it, so if you could get as many people, that'd be great.
Hopefully, if you're listening to this in the future, the Prince Charles Cinema is still alive and well, and nothing's happened, and it was just a real scary couple of greedy instances, like Dan says, with the landlord. Hopefully everything's fine, because that to us here in Britain is like the equivalent of the Cinerama Dome in Hollywood, isn't it? Like that's our the home of quirky art house cinema in London.
There is no other cinema I can think in the whole of the UK that does programs quite like they do.
No. So hopefully it's all just been like a bit of a bad dream, and you're listening to this in the future, and the Prince Charles is all good.
Yep. Cool. Right. I'll try signing off again. So thank you, Charlie.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ollie.
Thank you.
And you'll hear us next week. Save the Prince Charles Cinema. Bye-bye.
Okay. I'm sending you both this quick voice note with the hopes that you guys will be able to add this on at the end of our episode we recorded today. Like a little epilogue. Just because I have remembered that at some point in the episode, I made reference to the princess, is it Ilaran from Dune, who's played by Florence Pugh, and I said that she was played by the actress from the first couple of seasons of TNG and from Pet Sematary, 1989. But it's not. It's actually, I'm talking about the actress in the original David Lynch Dune. It is Virginia Madsen from Candyman. So hopefully we'll be able to add this on as like a little post-credits sequence of me just correcting myself for my amateur mistake, because I don't want people to think that I don't know my Star Trek or my Candyman knowledge or whatever. I'm 99% sure I was thinking of Virginia Madsen and I got it incorrect. It'd be a real funny twist of fate if I was wrong with this as well. So I'm incorrect twice, but I will fact check myself again in a second. But it is Virginia Madsen I was thinking of, not the other woman whose name I can't remember, which is really going to frustrate me because I really like her in Pet Sematary.